All right, Johnny, Chelsea, every year there's pieces of content that come out before the regular season that get you so pumped.
It gets the
Matthew
people
Berry
going.
Right here.
Matthew Berry is responsible for two pieces of content that I absolutely adore before the regular season. One is the 100 Facts article, which we're going to talk a little bit about here. And then two is his Draft Day Manifesto, which is a fantastic piece of content. Obviously, Matt Berry has a history of writing for shows like Married with Children.
Yeah, Married with Children.
He also wrote for Crocodile Dundee movies, so he's got that. He's a very entertaining writer. If you enjoy reading,
Fantasy Life book is really good.
That was a great book. So, anyways, he's got his 100 Facts, and we thought it would be fun to talk about Matthew Berry's 100 Facts, bring a couple of takeaways that we had, and discuss them here. So, Johnny, I'm going to start with you. What was the biggest one, or maybe the first one that popped out to you?
So the first major thing that I wrote down that I absolutely love is he says you can make stats say anything, right? And that was a big summary of he was talking about a running back, and he gave two sets of stats. He just said running back A and running back B, and then he said which one would you choose, and then he reveals at the end of it that it's the same running back. And so, it literally goes to say that, like, you can make stats say anything that you want to, if it fits your narrative. And you'll see this, and I've been guilty of it as well. Like, there are stats that I'll pick out based upon my argument and whether or not, I like them. Or I like them for that season. And that's what he said. And that's a common thing, is like, the vast majority of people and listeners and we all know a lot of this stuff. We all put a lot of hours, a lot of dedication and research into it. Some people have the ability to have more resources than other people. Ultimately, there's a ton of things that you could look at, and some of it is relevant, some of it isn't. So it comes upon you as the researcher, as the fantasy football player, to find people that you vibe with, that you gel with, that you have, kind of the same way of thinking. And those are the people that you want to listen to and follow and things like that. So Whisper Nation, if you have found us, we appreciate you guys. You guys must enjoy our content. I'm not saying that we are always right. We have our opinions. We're very strong opinionated at that, but it just reminded me again as to, why we do things and that everything isn't as black and white as we think. They are our opinions. There are reasons why we like people, and that's what it is.
Yeah, I loved what he talked about there about questioning the people that you look, you get the people that align with you, but then you also question their takes and you look for other contradictory information. Look, this is how we sharpen the fantasy football iron in our mind by adjusting it. And Whisper Nation, when you ask us in the comments or you call us out and you say, hey, we actually think this about this guy, it helps us. We start diving more into that guy for you guys. So that's always a good idea when doing this research and getting ready for the regular season. One of my favorite things he talked about, it was the first one. The first one was a banger. Number one fact he put out there, he said in 2019, 9 of the top 10 fantasy quarterbacks had at least 200 rushing yards. We just talked about Cam Newton, his rushing market share, what that could mean. This is why he ends up, in my opinion, if he's starting, being drafted in the top 10 because of the fact that he can get to a rushing floor. When you talk about 9 of the top 10 fantasy quarterbacks had 200 rushing yards or more, last season. So that one was a lot of fun for me. Did you have any other takeaways, Johnny? Did you have another one that you really liked?
I love this article. This is, like you said, this is one of my favorite articles that I look forward to every year in the fantasy community. And so, I had a lot to say. One, I was interested to see if you brought it up, but you didn't. I don't think you're going to. He touched on Miles Sanders, and he talked about the touches.
No.
So it was really interesting. It was cool. from me, seeing that kind of research backed up by Matthew Berry. But he talked about, the touches and him kind of worrying about how does Miles Sanders get to, between 250 and 300 touches as a bell cow running back. There was concerns there. So that was interesting. The Robert Woods confirmation was another thing. We've talked about him a lot. It seems like he is going to be a very big riser come August, September. I could definitely see him being a real big mover and moving his way up to maybe like the third or early fourth round because of how much people are talking to him. But
it's interesting to talk about this article or what Matthew Berry puts out, and some probably guys that you were maybe louder on than most, and now he's going to be loud on it, which means it shapes the ADP. The ADP will be shaped by Matt Berry and others, but Matt Berry's article is going to have a big part in as he continues to pump or downgrade guys, so will the community.
So that's a perfect.
I wanted to jump in quick.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, so I just wanted to add on that point. I have read Matthew Berry's 100 Facts article the last few years, and I love so much the way he writes it because it's not just one fact after another. There's so much that you can take from reading between the lines of how he stacks this information up itself. And I know that I have found really, really great, especially late round draft picks because of some of the things that he leaves to question in between the lines of this article. So I would, there's really no way to just flip to, fact number 62 and just take that as a real piece of information. You have to sort of read the article in full to take in the 100 facts, and there's so much more than 100 pieces of information from this article.
Like Chelsea,
kudos for the brilliance of Matthew Berry's crafting this piece of information because it is a vessel to deliver some real insight for sure.
Yeah, I just love the way he tells stories like Chelsea was saying there, right? He'll tell a story with 5 facts for one guy. He's painting a picture, so to speak. And I thought it was really funny in this article how he did it for Kareem Hunt. And he started listing the facts for Kareem Hunt. And one of the facts was just, what are we doing here, guys? Based on the fact that Kareem Hunt was being drafted so late in drafts after the facts that he pointed out. So just a lot of fun to read for sure.
The one that I really thought was really interesting, I agree. I liked a lot of his facts. I agreed with a vast majority of them. But he said this one: since the start of 2018, this running back is the sixth best running back in yards per reception after first contact. From weeks 1 to 5, he was a top 5 running back, and then in week 5, this team got their starting running back. And from 5 on, he was still the RB5. This player was still the RB5 in fantasy. You're thinking, oh, well, who is this guy? I need to get this guy on my team, right? Well, since entering the league, it gets even better. This running back, since entering the league, he is third among running backs in yards per YPT, which I should know. Yards per touch. Sorry, I'm like, what does my T stand for? And yards. Sorry, he is third among running backs in yards per touch. Do you have any idea of who this running back is?
I don't.
It would be the one, the only Austin Ekeler. Is the running back he is talking about here. And so Austin Ekeler is being the RB11 off the board, RB12, and I don't buy that. Like, I understand the stats that you pointed out. Hey, look, it's real nice that Austin Ekeler is so efficient and things like that, but then you're pointing me into a direction of saying how great a running back is per touch and how efficient, and then you're going to tell me that those touches are now going to get a lot smaller because you're going from Phillip Rivers, who we know is known as the Dink and Dunk King, to all of a sudden Tyrod Taylor, who does it about half as much, and then you're trying to tell me that it's still okay to draft him as a top 11. I don't buy it.
Do you think that Eckler's his touches may go down a bit, but don't you think he could compensate for actual rushing total?
So
his carries could go up.
So will be interesting in the next segment that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about carries aren't created equal, and so that is where the entire thing will come full circle, and you'll understand my argument. But I just don't think that those touches are created equal. I think that the dump offs that he was getting from Phillip Rivers were a lot more significant.
Sure. Yeah, we know targets are more valuable, but I'm saying that there's an opportunity to compensate some of that loss by getting more rushing.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't think that Ekeler is that type of running back. We've never seen him get over 180 carries in a season, and he last year,
but in his entire career he's played with Melvin Gordon, correct?
He has, but I understand, but he had
Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at TF Whispers.
A starting running back and on pace to do it last year, correct? Through 1 through 5, right? Is his body going to hold up? Now, a lot of people want to say, well, you can't predict injury, which I never like to do, but I like to predict, or I like to look at
Except for when it fits your argument.
Well, yeah. But no, I want to say more so look at his body style, right? His body style is a lot like Giovanni Bernard, and this was why the big issue why I had Giovanni Bernard a few years ago when people were taking him the first, and I said these running backs aren't built to be 250 touch guys. They're going to get injured with that workload and that body style. So I just don't see it for where you're drafting. And I know that this whole segment now has turned into an Austin Ekeler segment, which was not intended, but yeah, it's just for me. I don't buy the Austin Ekeler hype, and that was where I was.
Yeah, and like that's the great point. The intro for Matt Berry, it suggests question it, even question him. I think that's a good thing. Maybe he's painting the picture for Ekeler, and Johnny's not buying it, but that would cause Johnny to do a little more research on Ekeler, like he talked about there. I liked how he painted the picture for Tom Brady in this article, and I liked how he talked a little bit about David Johnson being slept on completely in this offense. I've heard Roto World also reiterate that sentiment. So take a look at Matt Berry's 100 Facts. You guys, this is a great piece of content, and we love breaking it down for you here.